What is going on, everybody? It is Alex coming back at you with another video. And today, 45 seconds ago, we had a brand new trade. Aaron Rodgers is now officially going to the Jets. And normally I would just be like, I've been factoring this into my trades for a hot minute, but we actually have had some changes in the first round. So I'm going to be giving you guys a 2-round mock draft today. No trades because that is going to literally absolutely screw me over in terms of time. I have class soon. I love you guys. I wanted to give you guys a mock draft ASAP. Also, no trades, makes it a lot more efficient so I can squeeze 2 rounds in one video. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, but let's get right into this. Let's have some fun. Pick number 1, no need to waste our time. Bryce Young is the dude, and he's going to continue being that dude. Pick number 2, the favorite is Will Levis. I feel really bad for y'all. I'm going to go with the second favorite player. I think they could be leaning QB, and I'm just praying for y'all, all right? I think CJ could be that dude for y'all, but, I don't think that you necessarily need to go after a QB in this draft. There's also value options later on. So I'm going to go with the idea that you guys are going to end off skipping on quarterback at number 2 overall. I think CJ Stroud's S2 test is actually being weighted pretty heavily around the league at 18th percentile. And, in the NFL, it's all about what's going on up here because, there's obvious certain limitations in terms of physical abilities that could stop you from being a good QB. But the mentality is one of the ones that really could stop you from being a true NFL star. So we're going to go Will Anderson at number 2. Number 3, again, I'm saying no trades, and I usually break that rule for this pick. I'm not going to break it for this one. We are going to be going after Tyree Wilson here, where the hell is Tyree? We'll just search him up, might as well. He is probably the odds-on favorite to potentially go over Will Anderson. Not going to do that for my Texans fans. Again, no trades. Bite me. It is what it is. The second quarterback off the board is going to be Will Levis, and PFF swapped him. I did not know that. So PFF swapped Will Levis and CJ Stroud for their QB 2 and 3, and interesting to say the least. Pick number 5, apparently, it's just balls to the wall for Jalen Carter. I still think that Anthony Richardson could be the pick, but for originality's sake, let's go after Jalen Carter here. We're going to see if the QBs drop out of the top 5. Pick number 6. I don't know if the Lions would want to go a quarterback at this spot. I do think they're poised to go to the Super Bowl, so I don't really think that they need to go QB here. In the draft, if the situation is like this, you bet your ass I'm trading to Tennessee and taking their next year 1. I'll do whatever it takes. And maybe toss in a 3rd round pick in there just so Tennessee doesn't feel robbed. But I don't really see many other times you're going to be in the top 10 with the roster that you do have. But given the way that they love their blue chip dudes, I think Devon Witherspoon would be their selection. I'm keeping this more realistic than what I would necessarily do because I haven't done that in a hot minute, and we're definitely going to be testing that out later in the week. Pick number 7 for the Raiders. Somehow they stay here and they get their choice of CJ Stroud as well as Anthony Richardson. Anthony I think he's a little bit polarizing, so teams might be actually willing to pass him up. CJ, he's also, one of those guys who could certainly be polarized, and apparently some GMs think he's a bust. I don't think he's a bust. I've been notoriously low on CJ Stroud, but not to the point where he's a bust. I heard that Peter Skoronski could be a likely selection for this team, but I do think CJ Stroud fits what McDaniels has worked with. I really do, and I think it's someone that they should be arguably willing to trade up for. So CJ Stroud goes at number 7. Number 8, Bijan's starting to become the favorite for the Falcons pick here. And I don't really fully understand that. I would want to get a scat back primarily. I think Jahmyr Gibbs in round 2, if you're going to go balls to the wall and go running back, is the best move if you're going to be guaranteeing a running back high. Because I think Tyler Algier kind of takes the more so contact balance back and more so vision to a solid degree. And I don't think you're going to move the needle as much with Bijan as if you do a star player here and then go after, Jahmyr in the next round. So we could be seeing Bijan at this selection. That would be really weird. But I think Anthony Richardson, if he is here, y'all didn't trade up for him. Of course, a team would have traded up for him. I think that's the right move. I think it is. If he falls to your selection, take him. Worst case scenario, teams are going to be dying for a QB probably in the future. I already know that he'll have great trade value down the line. Nobody's been built like him physically, and he looks like he has that mentality mark checked off for me. So I'm perfectly fine going after a Rich. Big fan of Richardson. It's good to see that he still is getting the love that he should deserve. I think he should be arguably QB2. That's what he is on my board. But I think that CJ could be sneaking in before him. But I think if the QBs are here at 7 and 8, they do go. Pick number 9, this is going to be Paris Johnson here, so might as well type that in. He's pretty much been linked to the Bears this whole time. There's been rumors that you're going to be transferring Braxton Jones to right tackle because he says he's comfortable doing it. I personally would go after Darnell Wright here, but I've done that a billion times now, so I think that is the more likely selection. The Eagles, it's down to Skoronski and Bijan here. They brought in 3 top tackles, so Skoronski, Johnson, as well as Jones. And that does show that, 2 of those guys are guaranteed to be, arguably top 10 selections. So, that they're targeting one with 10 at least. Bijan was also one of those dudes that they brought in for a top 30 visit. It is not a Howie move, but I don't really think that this would be a situation where Howie Roseman is going to stick to his gut when he's so close to a Super Bowl. And you could go Peter Skoronski here and say, Jurgens, you can sit for one more year. Or you can get a Super Bowl with Bijan Robinson. To me, I have a weird feeling that Bijan would be where he would lean. But given the fact that you guys are arguably trying to trade for Derrick Henry, you guys might want to be sending another later round pick for a running back rather than spending a top 10 pick on one. So I'm going to go after Peter Skoronski because I do think it is the Howie move. It's not one that I would necessarily do myself because, to be fair, who the hell am I? Howie brought a team to the damn Super Bowl, so I'm not going to complain about that. But Peter Skoronski is an absolute stud. Pick number 11. If Derrick Henry is gone, there is a chance they take Bijan at number 11. Bijan didn't necessarily have the best line there at UT, still performed better than anybody, known as a gold jacket player, and I traded those damn picks for the freaking Jets and Packers. We'll get to that in just a second because that was part of the trade compensation, but we'll get to that. I think they could go after offensive line here. I think that Darnell Wright could be a good move for them, but I'm going to try to see if maybe the Eagles do trade for Derrick Henry. I'm going to test it out. And yeah, it's crazy. I think that there's better options right now since they have Derrick Henry. But since Derrick Henry is on the market and Bijan is going to literally be the focal point of your offense, which is the Colts' identity, I'm going to go with it. I've never tried it out before, so, why not screw yourself over now? And at pick number 12. So I am thinking Jack Smith and Jigba would be a good option for this team. Nolan Smith would be fun if they didn't draft Will Anderson earlier. I think they want to continue building up their receiving core. JSN does feel like one of those dudes who would be a very reliable weapon for you. I have dudes above him, and I think that's just, it is what it is. So I have Quentin Johnston and Jordan Addison above JSN. I think I also have Zay Flowers and maybe Josh Downs. But JSN is one of those guys who's a little bit more uniquely built, really good in coverage, really good in space, really good blocker, and not in coverage, but really good in space, really solid route runner, and just somebody who is more reliable. And I think that could appeal to DeMeco Ryan since he's had that a lot with Deebo Samuel. And I think JSN is going to fit what he is interested in. The Jets, this was traded to the Packers. I have no idea why the trade didn't go through, but it did not. So they did a pick swap in the first round. For those of you who are seeing this for the first time, they also got 42. They also got 207, but the Jets squeezed out pick 170, and it's a conditional second that could become a first. Obviously, it's probably like, if Aaron Rodgers plays a full season, or if we get to the playoffs and he plays a full season. I'm not sure how that's broken down yet, but this is the full trade compensation. Yes, I have to force it through because, Aaron Rodgers is there. So the Packers now at pick number 13. I think they could be in the market for someone like Nolan Smith at this point. Myles Murphy's always there. Lucas Van Ness is there as well. Nolan Smith might be just that dude they love. They got 2 Georgia defenders in the first round last year. Could continue that trend with Nolan Smith. And he's actually a really good coverage linebacker at points too, especially for the limited experience he's had there. I believe in him, and his testing numbers are so freaky. I do think they could be very intrigued with it. And I have a weird feeling the Patriots would be in the market for Nolan Smith. Pick 14, this is the floor for Christian Gonzalez, so I'm going to go there. The Jets now at pick 15. I still think they could go offensive line here, and honestly, it's probably the guy they would have got in the first place. A lot of people are pointing to Broderick Jones going ahead of Darnell Wright, and that's exactly where I'm going to lean. Pick 16 with the Washington Commanders. I think this one's probably going to be Joey Porter Jr. or Deonte Banks. It's just probably one of these 2 guys, and both of them deserve as much love as possible in the world. I do think that we could see Joey Porter Jr. going before because he has a little bit more of that wingspan. Still, both of them are absolutely incredible. I'm going to lean Deontay because they've been closer to him, like proximity-wise. Maryland is a little bit closer than Penn State to Washington, so you get to see him every single week, and he was very, very dominant there. And I think this team is looking for the future, and Deontay does have the athletic upside a little bit over Joey Porter Jr. So going that way, pick 17 for the Steelers. I don't really believe they would pass on Darnell Wright if he's here. There's just not that many offensive linemen in this class. And I love Joey Porter Jr. He's my number 2 player in the class. I just don't know if they're that desperate for a cornerback since they already have their number 1 right now in Pat Pete, versus Darnell has played left tackle for 2 years and could certainly kick Dan Moore's ass. And if Chakuma Okorafor goes down, this dude was absolute lockdown at right tackle too. So we're going to be going Darnell Wright here for the Steelers. Pick 18, could go Kalijah Kancey here. Went after Devon Witherspoon earlier. Could go after Myles Murphy here to build that edge rushing presence. Kalijah could be the pick. He had no top 30 visits though. It's a little bit suspect to me. And with the loss of Jameson Williams for half of the year, I'm going to be going Quentin Johnston out of TCU. He tested out very, very well. Didn't test out in terms of the 40 very well, but someone who tested out vertically, and his broad was incredible. Both of those were in the top percentage, so good for him. Great size. He just needs to be more assertive with his hands, which in 2021 he was versus Oklahoma. That was one of the most dominant games I've ever seen from a wide receiver, and certainly one of the reasons why I started falling in love with Quentin Johnston. Pick 19 for Tampa Bay. It's surprising to see Dalton Kincaid at their top 10. I know they just released probably their new big board, but we could review that another time. Dalton Kincaid might be their selection at this pick. Brian Branch is starting to pick up some momentum as well. I certainly think they might be valuing those defensive back positions, which are a little bit more rare in this year's draft, and I think I might be leaning that way. I haven't done it for them in a hot minute, but I think we're going to do it, and we're seeing Joey Porter Jr., my number 2 player, I must emphasize, continue to fall down the board. Pick number 20, you got Jalen Carter. I think we're going to be going after someone like Myles Murphy here, who appeals to what they're kind of looking for. Lucas Van Ness, also a very talented player who also could be fitting that mold. I just think Myles Murphy has, he's put it a little bit more on tape. He has a little bit more versatility in terms of his moves, and just overall, I think a much better player. So you're building up that defensive front and creating a pretty solid, formidable defense to help the offense out in case they need some bailout. Dalton Kincaid, I doubt, probably slips past this point. Kalijah Kancey and Joey Porter Jr. are here, and it sickens me because I already know what the hell is going to happen at pick 22. But I think they go after a weapon here, and people are saying 3 tight ends in the first. I'm going to say that they are correct. And we're going to be going Dalton Kincaid here out of Utah. He's had a lower back injury or some type of back injury that's been keeping him out for a little bit. I don't think that's going to be that big of an issue, if I'm going to be honest. Dalton Kincaid was an absolute workhorse for Utah. Everybody knew it, and he still produced. He is my top tight end of the class by a significant margin. Pick number 22, I'm going to puke. This is disgusting. Y'all know I'm a freaking Steelers fan. I'm saying my second favorite player in the draft of freaking Baltimore. It is what it is. Pick number 23. Let's just get past it. Pick number 23, we got the Minnesota Vikings on the board. I would personally try to trade back, but it's Kalijah Cansey, Jordan Addison, or Zay Flowers. Lucas Van Ness are it's probably an honorable mention for this pick because they did bring on Marcus Davenport, which, Lucas Van Ness, a little bit similar to them coming out. There's a lot of routes you can go. I like Zay Flowers. I think he's picking up a lot of momentum to be the first receiver off the board. And we're not going to let him slip too much farther than that. So Zay Flowers goes at 23. 24, unfortunately, we took Brian Branch, who I absolutely adore. So now we could go Anton Harrison here, build up that offensive line a little bit more. Ben Barch is there at center, or at that guard spot where Walker Little is probably going to be moving out of. I think it could be a good idea to make sure Walker Little stays inside, but people are saying that he's impressing, and that's really good. I like to hear that. I think they could be in the mood to go another edge rusher. Arden Key is gone. There is a legitimate gap in that defense to where you could go after an athletic freak like you did at number 1 last year. I think you could also look at corner. I looked at pretty much what you guys brought in for top 30 visits, and the majority of it is, edge rushers, O-line, and corners. Makes sense. I think Anton Harrison could be a really, really good addition, but if I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic, I think Lucas Van Ness has enough hype, and he's not going to need to be that immediate impact since you do have Trevon Walker and Josh Allen, to where it might be something Dougie P likes to do. So we're going to be going Lucas Van Ness. Pick number 25. The Giants picked up a defensive interior today, so I'm going to count out Kalijah from that group. Jordan Addison, I don't think I could ever count out Jordan Addison from being selected here. I don't think that Osiris Torrance is out of the equation either. You could look at a center potentially for this pick as well. So there's a lot that you can go with here. I think corner isn't out of the question either. Emmanuel Forbes, people are saying, is going to be a top pick. And if there's going to be a team that probably takes him and uses him well, I'm going to trust Wink Martindale to do that. And Emmanuel Forbes is a ball hawk. People are saying that he reminds him a little bit of Marlon Humphrey. And Wink Martindale used Marlon Humphrey quite a bit. So I'm going to trust that. They also lost Julian Love. So worst case scenario, you can put him to safety until he's big enough to handle those receivers. But he's going to handle Devontae Smith very well. And that's one of the guys, the Slim Reaper, that you're going to have to cover in your own division. And I think that'd be really nice. And if De'Ami Brown takes a step up, Emmanuel Forbes is built to handle someone like that. And I'm trying to think. So on the Cowboys, Brandon Cooks. He's somebody who can cover Brandon Cooks. So I think you can take out a potential top weapon from all those teams. I know. I brought up freaking De'Ami Brown. Leave me alone. Pick number 26. Kalijah Cansey's here. I think that could be a smart move. You could also try to continue building the O-line at this point. But if we're going to be realistic, I have a feeling they go after Jahmyr Gibbs. They seem very inclined on a running back, but I'm not going to do that myself. I think they might want to disarm the Eagles of Kalijah Cansey. And that defensive interior does need a little bit extra help in there. I don't trust Tristan Hill to, do anything. So I think that's what they're going to do. We're going to go Kalijah Cansey here. Again, they like to take away the players that, the Eagles certainly are targeting. And I think CeeDee Lamb was one of those. And you could continue doing that. Continuing the trend with Kalijah Cansey here. Pick number 27 for the Bills. I think Jordan Addison, if he's here, is probably going to be the likely selection. I think linebacker should also be roughly in the mix, but I'm seeing betting odds with Jack Campbell being available at their second round pick, which is really weird. So I'm going to try to follow those betting odds a little bit, and I'm going to go Jordan Addison here. Kills me as a Steelers fan because I would have loved for him to fall to us at our next selection, but I wouldn't have let him fall past 31, to be fair. Pick number 28. I think they primarily focus on Michael Mayer here. I think Jonah Williams would be that dude who ends up playing that right tackle spot. I don't think they find a suitor for him. And I don't know if they want Anton Harrison, who started one game at right tackle this year, to be able to step in and be that day one protector. I think it's a smart move, but I don't think it's the move that they do make. So Michael Mayer is that selection. Pick number 29. I have a weird feeling that they're going to be looking at someone like Mozzie Smith to plug the interior. You look at the division, and to be fair, the running backs in the division are not that great, especially if you're like sitting in the draft room at this pick. Because, you got Tyler Algier, no disrespect. The Panthers don't really have it. Well, they have Miles Sanders. I'm sorry, I'm not that enthused with Miles Sanders. And then Tampa Bay, they have Keyshawn Vaughn. Not necessarily the reason why you would go after Mozzie Smith here. I think he might be the first big defensive interior, like the true like 300 plus dudes to go. And I just think maybe they'll, with all like the lack of quarterback talent, there's going to be more heavy emphasis on the run. It could end up being multiple W's for the Saints in your own division if you can stop the run. Because Mozzie Smith might be that dude. He was number 1 on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. Pick number 30 for the Eagles. It would have been great to take DeJuan Jones here, but I'm trying to play it a little bit more realistic. And, I do think that it fits exactly what the Eagles are looking for. They like to go after those dudes who are going to, be the future. And you could even go to offensive linemen in this draft here. But Sidney Brown is a dark horse candidate for this selection. I think Howie's going to trade back and get more selections, but no trades. I'm going to be going after someone who they obviously brought in for a top 30 visit. I'm looking at Will McDonald here. I think that would be great. I think Adebawore might be somebody that they're really intrigued with. I'm pretty sure they brought him in for a top 30. I know for their number 10 pick, they're going with someone from the top 30. It's easy. Adebawore, though, you just can't find that explosiveness, and he could play as an edge rusher. 4.49 speed, ridiculous. He's not that powerful. And 27 bench reps. They're solid, but it's nothing insane. And you see it on the tape. So I think you need a little bit more time to develop him. After next year, you have one dude who's pretty much on roster as an edge rusher as well. And it does fit their 265 plus mold. And he can play defensive interior in the short run. I feel like that's going to be a home run hit for Philly if they end up making it. Pick number 31, I'm actually going to probably select Anton Harrison here for the Chiefs. He also, again, played one game at right tackle. Could be someone who steps in immediately there. Or you could also, arguably put him at left and keep Jawan Taylor at right tackle, where both of them have their native positions. Pick number 32 for the Steelers. DeJuan Jones might be the best move here. Unfortunately, I screwed us over by going Darnell Wright. Sorry. Some people think DeJuan Jones will not be a first-round selection. It is what it is. Kiss my rear. I do this all live anyways. I do think they could be looking at someone like Tyreek Stevenson at this selection, but I'm going to do the right thing for my Steelers, and that's going to be going after Jack Campbell. He's, to me, the second best linebacker in the class. I'll scroll down so you guys get to see more of my board. I have him right behind Drew Sanders. I think they're both very talented players. I think Jack Campbell is more of the leader. Completely different builds. We have like a 6'3", 230 dude versus a 6'5", 250 guy. And to me, that's going to be much more of what the Steelers are looking for. True commander of the defense, good in zone coverage as well. And he's a true linebacker versus Drew Sanders just switched there last year. Pick number 33. So we have not gone after a quarterback for this team, wide receiver as well as edge rusher. So I forgot, I took Jackson Smith and I took CJ Stroud to the Raiders. This is not what I would do mock draft. I like to blend it a little bit. I'm trying to blend in betting odds a bit into it. DeJuan Jones could be that dude who they absolutely love, but I do think they go after a center here, and they're going to go after John Michael Schmitz. I think they're just building up both sides of the line, and then they'll bring in a QB at another point. Pick number 34, another team that could be looking for the interior of the offensive line. I know for a fact they love Paris Johnson. Not going to do that to y'all. But you could end up going DeJuan Jones. And that'd be weird with Kyler, a little midget dude running around with a 6'8" tackle. But I think they'll go after a center at this selection. Joe Tippmann, very athletic. I'm pretty sure they have him at 67 on their board. Where the hell do I have him on mine? Because I'm pretty sure I have him. I have him at 86. Okay, I like Joe Tippmann, but just a little bit less than the next guy. But Joe Tippmann, very athletic, very high upside reps, just needs to be a bit more consistent game to game. Pick number 35. So it's another team I think could go after an offensive lineman like Osiris Torrance, and I kind of find it hard that he'd slip past this point. Defensive back appears to be their focus, but when in doubt, you got to go the offensive line, man. You got to go the offensive line. Can always pick up some good value DBs in the next round. Pick number 36 for the Los Angeles Rams. DeJuan Jones is here. I don't think they pass on him if he is. Could go Jahmyr Gibbs because they did target Christian McCaffrey during the regular season. Could go Will McDonald because they targeted Brian Burns during the regular season. But I think they're going to try to build from the ground up. DeJuan Jones would be impeccable value. For the Seahawks, we've gone after an edge rusher as well as a defensive interior, which is awesome. I think they could look at linebacker here with Trenton Simpson. You pretty much have, Jordan Brooks, Devin Bush, and then Bobby Wagner. That's a solid trio. I'll be honest. I know some people will say it's mid, kind of is, but if Bobby can train Trenton Simpson, that could be your future right there. And it'll be great to see them do that in a very thin linebacker class. People might be worried about him like Christian Harris, though. And we saw Christian Harris tumble to the 3rd round in a very deep linebacker class, to be fair. Last year's linebacker class was studded. I'm going to go Trenton Simpson here. I'm going to try to, emphasize that position a little bit earlier. Will McDonald is a good selection here for the Raiders, but I think if Steve Avila's on the board, kind of hard to pass on him. He has guard and center versatility as well in case of an injury. Pick number 39, Will McDonald, probably the favorite for the pick here. Jahmyr Gibbs, if they didn't bring in, a Myles Sanders, be a great addition. Offensive line looks great for the team. Weapons, you could always add more, but I do think you want Will McDonald here because that athleticism, that bend. You're getting Kayvon Thibodeau at 80% of his ability here at pick 39, which is a very, very good value. Pick number 40, we got defensive interior Mozzie Smith earlier. Could see Jahmyr Gibbs being selected here if they do feel that, Alvin Kamara might not be their future with some of the off-the-field issues they've had. Darnell Washington might be the move, though, because he does block very well, could add a really nice asset in the run game. We've seen that that Derek Carr loves his tight ends, so I do think they could be in that market. And if he were there at 29, do not be surprised if, Michael Mayer could be that pick. But looking at it as is, I think the guy who fits the most, like Darren Waller, is Luke Musgrave. But, Darnell Washington might be so intriguing that Derek Carr might say, I'll work with him. At least we know we have pretty much another tackle on the field. So we're going to go Darnell Washington for the Saints. Titans, you guys stayed put and took Bijan Robinson. Again, that was much more of a predictive pick than anything. I think you guys could be looking at someone like Luke Whippler at this point, continuing to build the offensive line. Offensive tackle, unfortunately, kind of thin. And I would probably try to trade back, maybe, and get another offensive lineman. But, Cody Mauch needs some work. Definitely could be your future, though, because Andre Dillard and him could have a nice little battle there. And I know you guys have went to North Dakota State before to go after an offensive lineman and Dylan Radunes. So I think you guys are going to do the same. Pick number 42. So Packers, this was part of the Aaron Rodgers trade officially. This was not even part of my Aaron Rodgers trade. It was the official Aaron Rodgers trade. You guys could be looking at a defensive back here. Went after Nolan Smith in the 1st round. I think you could be looking for a wide receiver here. Cedric Tillman, to me, feels like one of those guys who could be taken way earlier than he should go. He battled injuries last year. He's a very talented player in a very friendly system. I do think he should be probably like a 3rd round selection. People love him to death, and could be a selection here for the Packers. I'm going to weigh it because, again, we're doing this live, but he'd be a really good complement to Christian Watson there. Tight end, I think the tight end value drops off really fast, and you guys do have another selection here. I can't see a wide receiver. I can't see Cedric Tillman going in this range anyway. I don't think a team would trade up for Cedric Tillman. I think they might trade up for one of these 2 tight ends, though. And Sam Laporta, to me, just feels more like a Packers tight end. And he, to me, also is better than Luke Musgrave. And I like Luke Musgrave. So Sam Laporta is the Jets. Now with this selection, Aaron Rodgers, now officially a New York Jet. So congratulations. So I think the offensive line pretty much set. Connor McGovern also decided to return. So you guys have that center role filled out. Guards are fine. Tackles are now fine. And wide receivers, you guys loaded up on that. Running back, Bryce Hall coming back, looking good. Defensive line, they could look at defensive interior because they tried to bring on Fletcher Cox. So Brian Breezy's still here, and I've been hearing a lot of rumors of him slipping out of the first. This is more of a realistic thing. I think he should. To be fair, I can't really see any team except the Raiders being that in on him from these teams. Maybe, the Cardinals, but we'll see what happens there. Brian Breezy going to be the selection. I think that'll be a unique selection that they can bring on to have him grow under Quentin Williams. Pick number 44, another team that could go defensive interior, but you guys did go after plenty of them in this offseason. First selection was a quarterback in Anthony Richardson, so you still need an edge rusher. To me, I think the best one on the board is B.J. Ojulari. Felix is also a really good one. I'm going to go after B.J. Ojulari. Pick number 45 for the Packers. You could look for defensive interior help, but I telegraphed it already. I think they're going to reach on Cedric Tillman, and some people love Cedric even in the first round. I'm not one of those people, but this is partially predictive. Pick number 46. We're going after Christian Gonzalez, and that's a really, really good addition. Felix might be my next favorite one. You could look at Jahmyr Gibbs here. They are looking for kind of that home run hitting back. I know they have Pierre Strong, and I hope that he can kind of step up and take that role. Could look at someone like Josh Downs. They love Zay Flowers. This is the on-sale version of Zay Flowers. So we're going to go after Josh Downs for this team. 47, we went after a DB from Maryland in Deonte Banks in the first round. This is going to be a linebacker because y'all know you need it. Cole Holcomb isn't even on the team. He's on my Steelers. So Drew Sanders is going to be the selection. Pick 48, another team that probably could have used Drew Sanders. I think that you guys could be in the mood for even Jahmyr Gibbs at this point. It's going to be probably running back or tight end. And I know y'all hate the tight end idea, but you have 3 solid enough tight ends. I think that going after an actual starting quality tight end is that's how you're going to be able to continue pushing the envelope. You also just lost essentially, I think, 3 wide receivers, for 2 of them for the entire season plus, because you released them, and then the other one for 5 games. You gained 1 back. You guys need to continue honing in on that receiving position, and I know it's just irritating, but Luke Musgrave's a really, really good weapon. He was just injured last year, would have been probably a first-round pick. Steelers, we need a DB, and we're going to be going after Tyreek Stevenson here. I don't think I need to explain that too much. Jack Campbell, Tyreek Stevenson, as well as Darnell Wright would be, in my opinion, an A-plus first 2 rounds. Pick number 50, I think Felix Anudike-Uzomah here is ridiculous, but I'm going to go after Jahmyr Gibbs. I know there's some Keyshawn Vaughn truthers out there, but nobody's going to come close to Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 50. Pick 51 would have been pretty cool to have Jahmyr Gibbs here, but not the case. At pick 51, I think that you guys could be looking at a tight end in Tucker Kraft. I'm not going to take him here. I'm going to instead opt for the best offensive lineman available in Luke Whippler, which, I'm sorry, Seahawks fans, that would have been a great pick for y'all, but I think Hendon Hooker at pick 52 could be a really solid move. Want to make sure I didn't take a quarterback for you. I think I took Myles Murphy, or Jalen Carter and Myles Murphy, which I did. Hendon Hooker is going to be the selection in the second round. Also probably needs a little bit of time to rest before being game ready. So there you go. There's your QB. Bears, this is going to be Felix Anudike-Uzomah all the way. Paris Johnson was that first round selection. Pick 54, we took a tight end in Dalton Kincaid there in the first. I think this selection could be Cam Smith. He can play safety or a boundary corner. Zach Charbonnet, I think one of his only private workouts was with the Chargers. I might be tripping. I think it was Shea Pitts that was from UCLA, also went to my high school. So he posted that he did a private workout with the Chargers. Probably going to be a UDFA guy himself, not Zach Charbonnet. But this pick, I might go Cam Smith. A little bit too good of value. But when you do have really, really good players like Tank Dell and Jalen Hyatt, it's hard to say you guys are going to pass on it. And Tank Dell, just adding more weapons for Justin Herbert seems to be the correct move. Pick 55, went a tight end, went a DB, as well as a wide receiver. Now I think is perfect time for someone like Keanu Benton. And I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. Pick 56 for the Jaguars. Fortunately, I think we took, Matt Bergeron could be kicked to guard. I might do that for you because people are saying he's like looked at very highly by the league. No, I'm not on board with that personally. But I'm going to go after a defensive back here. Cam Smith's here. Keely Ringo's here. I think Cam Smith's going to fit more of what you think you're looking for, but we're going to be going after Keely Ringo here. I think he does fall. He has some really bad tape out there, and he's kind of like he needs development. And this team could certainly develop him and use him in the right way because they did it with Tyson Campbell. I think they could do it with Keely Ringo. Pick 57. Went after a DB in round number 1. Unfortunately, no center here. That's a surprise. I usually have one that slips to the spot. So other positions of note, you could look at an actual safety here like Sidney Brown and then have Emmanuel Forbes and Sidney Brown there. Sidney Brown also played as a linebacker role. I fell in love with him. And, I think he's a really, really good player. You could also go after Jalen Hyatt here, but we're going to go after Sidney Brown because there's also some good depth wide receivers in this class. Pick 58 went after a star on the defensive interior in Kalijah Cansey. Now, you could go DJ Turner here and have someone develop for a year. Could go Cam Smith and have him sit under Stephon Gilmore. You can always use more defensive backs. I think that's perfectly fine. But I do know they have an affinity for Zach Charbonnet. It's Zach's favorite team. We're going to be going after that because I think he's a great compliment to Tony Pollard, and he fits exactly what the Cowboys are looking for in a running back. Pick 59. I wish there were linemen here. That would have been great. Not the case. So I went after Jordan Addison in round number 1. Jalen Hyatt's here. That would have been a good pick too. Could look at Keon White as a pick, and I think that's exactly what they do because Keon White could be pushed to the pure interior at 285. He ran very well, very athletic for his size, and somebody that the Bills could certainly be trying to hone in on. I don't really see any other edges that or defense interiors that could match him. So Keon White goes to the Bills. Reminds me of a lot of when they took Boogie Basham, who a lot of people thought was going to be a first-round pick. This is going to be Julius Brents. Just when you see guys fall, it just falls right into place. Julius Brents going to the Bengals. This selection, we got Felix Anudike-Uzomah earlier in the second. This is going to be Cam Smith. I just don't think he falls past this pick. And pick number 62, we have gone after a defense interior / edge rusher in Adi Tamiwa Adebawore. And we've also gone after Peter Skoronski. This one could be Jalen Hyatt, and I think you just add more weapons in there with Quez having one more year to go. Also, that pick probably would have went to the Chiefs if that were the case. And Chiefs now on the board. Ending off this mock draft, I think we can select both of these. And Isaiah Foskey kind of just fits exactly what I'd want as a Chiefs fan. Derek Hall as well. Derek Hall is just one of those consistent dudes with freaky length. I like Isaiah Foskey. He doesn't have any on-the-field concerns. He's just kind of a master of all trades, or a jack of all trades, master of none. And I think that's fine. I really do. I think that's perfectly fine. So that is how we're going to end off the draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. I wanted to crank this one out for y'all, so I appreciate it for you guys always showing me the support. I would love for you guys to join the community. Let's get on to 8K. If we get it before the draft, that would be absolute bonkers, but I highly doubt it. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the far side. Peace.